This is maybe more of a near encounter, but it was still unsettling. My partner and I decided we were going to go hiking on a trail in a national forest area yesterday. It is a fairly remote area, and we drove a variety of dirt roads to get there. But we were excited to hike during a beautiful time of year with the leaves changing. The trailhead had a small parking area, which was approximately 200 feet before a river crossing and bridge. As we pulled into the parking area, we noticed a line of about 5 people on the other side of the river embankment across the bridge. They were all standing in a neutral stance, spread legs, arms straight out, either facing our direction or the opposite direction with their feet nearly touching. It was difficult to tell with the distance. There was maybe a slight gap in the road for a car to pass through, but they took up most of the road. They were wearing all black, and it looked like they might have had black masks as well, as we couldn't see any color or features indicative of faces. As we pulled into the parking area, my partner and I pondered what was going on over there. We stared at them for about 10 seconds, and we discovered that they were completely motionless, like statues. At that point, both of our guts were raising alarms, and we decided to hightail it out of there. As we drove away, they continued to stand there motionless. Thankfully, nobody followed us. We are still trying to figure out what happened there. Was it a hunting group? If so, why weren't they wearing orange? Was it a teenage group playing a prank? Or was it just our overactive imaginations? Just a friendly reminder, there's a problem of people disappearing in national parks and forests, so be sure to stay safe and vigilant. Many years ago, a friend and I decided to visit our mutual friend at our university and spend the weekend with her. We had extremely detailed directions to follow, and we were told the trip should take about 3 hours. While nothing went wrong on our drive, it seemed to take forever. I don't remember exactly at what point the woods started, but I do remember traveling through these woods for a long time, perhaps an hour. We were already well past the 3-hour time frame my friend had given us by the time we left the woods. When we finally reached my friend's college town, it was nearly 4.5 hours since we'd left. We didn't get lost, we never hit traffic, or stopped for more than a few minutes, but we quickly forgot about it since we were happy to spend the weekend with our friend. When the trip back was a little over 3 hours, we thought it was weird, but didn't think much of it at the time. It wasn't until my next trip to visit that I realized something had been strange. I spent the whole next trip waiting for the long path through the woods that we had been on the first time, but they never appeared. Following the same directions as the first time, the entire trip took me about 3 hours, as did every other trip that I made out there in the following years. I don't know what happened, and I've never been able to replicate it. I still wonder what happened, and where we really were when passing through those woods. We were leaving a wedding we had attended that was held about 3 hours from home. My boyfriend had stayed sober in order to drive us home. I was pretty drunk. As we were driving the dark country back roads to get back to the city, I was half dozing and remember squinting because there seemed to be bright headlights washing over us, and then my boyfriend, who was driving, started screaming, like full-on screaming. Like I've never heard him do so before or since. It wasn't a loud, high-pitched screaming, but a deep in the throat screaming that broke in and out and that left him hoarse. It swerved our car sharply to the side of the road, nearly into a ditch. I came fully awake and was, "What? Are you okay?" He said that he saw a truck coming full bore towards us in the dark. I honestly thought we were going to die. I looked behind us, a long straight road with no houses or streetlights. There was no sign of a truck or any kind of vehicle. No rear headlights on the road or any light from a truck's headlights, which we would have seen. No sound of a truck or car or anything, but he was shaking, and I initially brushed it off as maybe him falling asleep at the wheel, which is already scary in and of itself. We were on a narrow country road. There was no way a massive truck could have gone by us without hitting our car, for one. I don't remember feeling the rumble and vibrating of our car, which was an old POS. That would have happened if a truck had narrowly missed us, so I dismissed it. He still swears that he saw a massive truck coming towards us. However, I do remember a flood of headlights hurting my half-closed eyes just before my boyfriend freaked out. I'm from Connecticut. I was in a long-distance relationship with a girl from Georgia. I would often make road trips down to visit her. I don't really mind. I love road trips. I've driven across the United States and back, all on my own. There's just something about traveling the highways of the US by yourself that's just so freeing. To save money, I would sleep in my car. It's not so bad. It's basically camping, in a metal tent. Makes you feel like you're really roughing it. I just recline the seat back, keep the key in the ignition just in case, and doze off. No, I don't put anything up to block the windows for privacy. Maybe I should have. The trip down south is a comfortable 2-day drive. My stop would usually be somewhere along the Virginia-North Carolina border. So, for my previous trip, that's exactly where I stopped that night. Rest stops were often less trafficked and thus quieter than truck stops. Normally, I would have stopped at a Love's, but I was so tired that I settled for the first rest stop I saw. It was oddly vacant that night, with only a couple lone cars sitting forlorn under the amber street lamps. Most likely travelers with the same idea as myself. I pulled into a parking spot away from the others, under the shadow of a tree and far from the street lamps. I figured I would have more privacy there, as opposed to being bathed in light. So I did my usual thing, locked my doors, opened the window just a hair for ventilation, kept my key in, reclined the seat, and went to sleep. I was never interrupted on any of these car camping nights, so I never suspected anything on this one. Then a sharp tap woke me up. At first, I thought I had heard it in my dream. I opened my eyes, a bit confused. Since I was leaned back, I was facing the ceiling and couldn't see anything. I hear another tap, like a tiny object hitting a hard surface. It came in an irregular rhythm. Was it raining? Was water dripping onto my windshield? I'm under a tree. Maybe something fell from the branches. Maybe a squirrel or a bird has dropped something. What if a squirrel was climbing around my car? Or what if it wasn't an animal? The thought occurred to me that it might very well be a person poking around outside. What did they want? Were the doors locked? Yes. The keys were in the ignition. I can leave in an instant. Still, I lay there, completely still, pretending to be asleep. Pretending I hadn't heard anything. Hoping whoever it was, they would leave me alone. It was better to not find out. I was too afraid to find out. It was better to stay here in blissful ignorance. Still, the tapping continued. I had to do something. There was no way I was just going to stay there. I had to look. My heart was pounding. In that moment, it was deafeningly loud. Whoever was out there could probably hear it. I decided I was going to look. I was going to raise my head up and see what was making the noise. So that's what I did. What met my eyes sent a jolt through my entire body. Every muscle fiber locked up in pure shock at what I saw. The faint glow of the street lamps cast just enough light for me to make out what I was looking at. There in the windshield, staring directly at me, was a face. Someone, I presumed to be a woman. was lying on my hood, her face pressed right up against my windshield. Her face was completely still, locked in a permanent grin. I froze in overwhelming terror. The eyes I stared into appeared to have rolled back, showing only the whites. The nose was turned up, pressed painfully into the glass. The lips stretched wide, revealing horrid, rotten teeth. Even in the darkness, I could tell her skin was sickly pale, contrasting her long, filthy black hair. Whoever this was, she was clearly not in her right mind. I don't know how long I sat there, too afraid to move. Finally, I got a grip on myself and shot my hand into the ignition. It turned over, making, in that instant, the most beautiful sound I ever heard. For a split second, I was afraid I might be caught in a horror movie scenario, the one where the car won't crank as the killer approaches. I reversed as fast as I could, trying not to give this creeper time to try anything. In my panic, I remember activating the windshield wipers in a futile attempt to get her off. I thought, was I about to drive out of here with some wacko holding onto my hood? Thankfully, I didn't have to worry about that because as soon as I stopped, the woman leapt off, landing on all fours. Seeing my opportunity, I shifted into drive and gunned it. Right as I saw her reaching for the driver's side door, my foot on the gas, I sped out of the parking lot. Behind me, I heard her let out a piercing shriek like that of an animal. I looked in my rearview mirror, and for a split second, I thought I saw her chasing me, running on all fours, her black hair swinging wildly around her. I couldn't get a good look as I rounded a curve in the road leading out of the rest stop and merged with the highway. There, I picked up speed, drove through the night, and not dare stop again until I saw the morning light.